Mr. Paul Pandi, Manager HR and HR at VST Tillers Tractors Limited to take over.
Hope everyone enjoyed your lunch. Today is a special day. Can anyone guess what it is? Yes, exactly. My boss, Mr. Manivannan. It's my privilege to introduce myself, Paul Pandi, working as Manager HR, IR and Administration in VST Tillers Tractors Limited, Hosur, and I'm part of NHRD Hosur chapter as an executive committee member. I would like to thank NHRD for giving me a great opportunity. Thank you so much. And it's my honor to introduce my team. I hope everyone will gonna enjoy the next 1 hour with the topic of an international interactive session on industrial relations at multinational companies in the era of liberalization, privatization, globalization, a cultural crossfire. This is the topic we are gonna discuss for 1 hour. Mr. Raju Arumugam was a trained globalization leadership as a Fulbright scholar for 3 decades. He was with companies like Ford, Mahindra, Kamaz Motors, ITDC Cement Corporations of India in various capacities across in India. She was CFO of Kamaz Motors Limited for its trucks production facility in Tamil Nadu. She was also responsible for all legal matters and labor issues. In early 2000s, she was in Malawi, Africa for several years, heading finance department of manufacturing company producing soya-based productions for Southern Africa. She started her career in USA, working with startups at NASA founded and financed incubator in Baltimore, Maryland. She was awarded an MBA from Merrick School of Business USA, Ms. Elena Rivakancha. Ma'am, you're welcome. Please come to the dais. He is currently working with Renault Nissan Automotive India Private Limited as Vice President, Vehicle Plant. He has 20 years of rich experience in manufacturing, automotive, aerospace process, quality, method engineering, mechanical design, and gear expert. He was awarded a Master of Engineering, Mechanical Engineering from George Asachi Technical University, Lassi. None other than Mr. Gabriel Vero. So you are welcome on the stage. Implementing long-lasting cultural change in our cashew business in India and Vietnam to get full compliances and European way of working. Trustful in own skills, responsible and creative for implementing new ideas with lots of enthusiasm, humor, and a pragmatic approach. Presentations about lean methodologies within the whole organization, both national and international, several presentations about the necessity of equality systems for management and middle management. None other than Mr. Jurgen. Sir, please come on the stage. He has 25 years of rich experience in hardcore HRD and industrial relations, global exposure, managing diverse work culture, managing Gen Y employees. Auditor for RBNQA, Ramakrishna Bajaj National Quality Award Cycle 2005. Examiner on board for ABLP. Former member in the Board of Apprentice Training, Southern Region, Government of India. Transformed the company to be listed as one of the top 25 great places to work in India for the year 2009. Received certificate of merit from International Federation for Training and Development, London, People Management. Knowledge on status on procedures, successful handle a strike situation, negotiation with the union for layoff and retrenchment. Signed productivity, linked wage settlement with the various unions. None other than Mr. J.R. Patrick. So you're welcome on the stage.
Vanakkam, good afternoon, Privyet, salute, hola. What a wonderful panel. You all agree with me? Yeah? Okay, you see the browning and creaming on the stage. Dignitaries, delegates, thank you very much for being with us today in the afternoon. And this panel is going to be a little different from the panel what you have seen in the morning. It was a heavy panel in the morning, and you've seen a lot of knowledge we heard from the very eloquent panel. When we were discussing about what should be the theme of this IR summit, Inba and I are deliberating on that, then this theme came to our mind. India, post 1990, liberalization, privatization, globalization, we opened up for a lot of multinational companies. These lot of multinational companies sent foreign executives here from the home countries. I worked in a couple of multinational companies. I was in the US. I have experience with about 110 nationals during my fellowship. We have understood one thing, that what we speak, what they speak, there are a whole of difference which we need to understand. In the recent past, we have witnessed a lot of industrial unrests in multinational companies. New dimensions to industrial relations. Through this panel, we are bringing multidimensional views, multidimensional perspectives, multidimensional perceptions to this audience. We all recognize the fact that we share the planet today. India is part of the globe, and the globe is shrinking, and we are all becoming very close with each other. The geopolitics is changing. The world has seen 2 world wars and the end of the Cold War, which has changed the entire geopolitics now. The new economic order. We are at the best of the facilities, the best of opportunities, best of the challenges in the entire human history. At this juncture, when India is opening up its businesses, its opportunities for the world, we have seen the multinational companies sending their executives here. As Indians, have we understood them enough? Have we understood them in terms of what their language is, how they communicate, what their challenges are, how do they see opportunities, why they are here, what skills and competences they are bringing from their home country or their home organization? These are some of the rhetorical questions which I wanted to leave to the audience to ponder over. Our panel will have difference between from the morning panel. We will have each of the speakers coming here, and they will be spending 5 minutes with you on sharing their perspectives. After they complete their perspectives, I will leave it open for the audience to interact. We want to give a lot of time for the audience to interact. A lot of questions we are expecting from the audience, so the interaction is more, so that the understanding is more. The cross-pollination is happening now in this place in terms of understanding each other much better. While asking questions, please keep it within the industrial relations arena, so that we learn a lot from them. So, without much ado, I would like to invite Ms. Elena to be the first speaker here and share her perspectives. She is from Russia. We were colleagues in one of the organizations, and I will come back later on the experiences what we had. Ms. Elena, over to you.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank organizers and Mr. Armugam for inviting me to participate in this conference, because Hosur is actually very close to my heart, as I worked for 4 years in the production facilities located in Hosur. Okay, now coming back to my background and my experience. My name is Elena, and I'm originally from Russia, to be precise, from Siberia. And my professional career allowed me to live and experience different countries. I started from the Soviet Union, where I have experienced the socialism and how it collapsed. When I was studying and working in the United States, I've seen completely different world. In Africa, I've seen the poverty and the lowest of it all. And finally, I ended up here in India, and I am settled down here for the past 10 years. Now, the topic of this panel, the industrial relations at MNCs during the era of LPG, I think is very appropriate for India, because in the last 10-15 years, with all that liberalization reforms, a lot of MNCs came to this country. I think now we have about 5,700 MNCs. Most of them are located, of course, in Bangalore, and I think most of them are in IT. But still, we can see the globalization in the industrial area as well. I think it's worth to mention the Make in India campaign, which is trying to create the global hub here in India. And I think industrial relations, that's what I feel, they're more relevant for the manufacturing units rather than ITs. Because that's when we have the unskilled workmen, that's when we have unions, that's when we have labor issues and communication with the labor authorities, etc. So as I mentioned, I worked for 4 years in the production facilities of Russian MNC called KAMAZ. So KAMAZ is the biggest truck manufacturer in Russia and one of the biggest in the world. And I must say that even though I have already assimilated to Indian culture, working in the local environment has brought a lot of issues and a lot of understanding to me. See, the history, the culture, the tradition of any country affect the business environment. Let's take Russia. So Russia was for 70 years under communism. And we opened our doors about 20 years back, 1991. But even now, if you take organizations in Russia, it's mostly autocratic organizations. If you take offices in Russia, it's mostly rooms and corridors, which do not exactly support the collaborative environment. So when I came to India, I feel that Indian people are very warm and very welcoming. And overall, I find it that there is a lot of happiness, there is a lot of peace, and there is a lot of positive energy in India. But at the same time, for foreigners, India is not an easy place to live or work. I happened to take a part in the confrontation with a very radical union here in Hosur. And I was surprised to see to what extent the labor disputes can get in the states like West Bengal or Kerala or Tamil Nadu. And I was also noticing that many times the union leaders are actually given the workmen the promises that can never be executed, and they're literally brainwashing them. See, in Russia, the unionism does not exist as much anymore. It was there in Soviet Union, but not now. But here in India, I happen to be a part of this experience. Now, currently, I'm working as a vice president of Shrey. So Shrey Group is basically a leading company in the infrastructure finance. And we are also present in oil and gas, in real estate, in IT, in healthcare. And currently, my job responsibilities are slightly different from the manufacturing units. If there I was actually a part, I was the CFO of the company. Here, I am becoming, my job is basically to make the cross-border project happen and successful between Russia and India. And literally, I am becoming like an interpreter or the mediator of the differences between the expectations and deliverables of different countries. So to conclude, I would like to say that we as foreigners, when we come to work to India, we should not impose rules which, though could be very successful in other countries, could actually affect negatively the local setup. And I think foreign companies, the MNCs, they should definitely take on board, hire the key personnel from India, because the knowledge, the name, the connections, the understanding, the setup is still very important for the successful companies. And I hope this topic will be a little lighter than the previous one on unions, and I hope everybody will have a good day. Thank you.
In one of the non-English speaking countries, I went there to speak, and there was an interpreter interpreting my speech. And I told a story, and it was a joke. After listening through the story, the interpreter told something to the audience. Since it was a joke, and no, I thought, okay, it's a little lengthy joke. The interpreter told very short something, and then the entire audience laughed. I thought a language can be shorter, but it cannot be so shorter that the audience understood the joke immediately. I went sideways and I asked, what did you translate so quickly that whole joke? No, sir, I told our guest has come here, he has cracked a joke, all of you please laugh. So, interpreters, we do not know, we are in the hands of the interpreter. So we were in the hands of Elena. Lot of difficulties we had, and also another experience like the Russian boss here. He was a wrestler, right? So his language also is exactly like wrestling. So feelings and emotions, that is what was very, very important, more than the language. So that is very important. That you brought out very nicely, that point, Elena. Thank you so much. Next, may call upon Jurgen to come and share your views, your perceptions, what you have seen. I don't know whether the mic will be enough for you. Yeah. Yes.
Try to make it work.
Okay.
So thank you very much. Good afternoon, all of you. Thank you for being here and willing to listen to us. I was able to hear some of the discussions going on this morning about IR in the very impressive panel. So I think that was also very impressive for me to listen to all of this. I'll do without. Okay, I can see it. So I'm Jurgen. I am from the Netherlands, so I'm Dutch, and I think there we can already see some cultural gaps between India, because maybe you don't know in India, but even in Europe, okay, thank you. Even in Europe, the Dutch are known for one thing, and the Dutch are very outspoken. So whenever we see something we don't like or we like, we say it as we see it, and we give our honest opinion. And one of the things I see in India is that Indians are always very polite, and they will always, even bad news, they will try to bring in a very, let's say, good manner. Dutch are like to say it's bad, so we say it's bad, and we might even exaggerate. So there we already have some differences. So about me, I'm Dutch, 47 years old. I have 20 years of experience mainly in food manufacturing. So I work mainly 20 years for a company called in Europe called Intersnack, which is a big savory snack manufacturing. I am now officially called change manager. Actually, I'm operations director, but we still call it change manager for a company called Intersnack Cashew India Private Limited. So I think there, I hope I can bring you some nice perspective, because you have, let's say, companies, you have businesses, and then you have the cashew industry, because the cashew industry is, I know the cashew industry now for, say, 3-4 years. It is quite an industry on its own. It still has a lot of old-fashioned ways of working, and let's say that there are still quite a lot of bad practices happening in the cashew industry. And basically I'm here in India, but also working in our companies in Vietnam. And now since almost 2 years I am based in India, and I'm based in the deep south of India. I live in Tirunelveli, and we have a factory in between Tirunelveli and Tuticorin where we process cashew nuts. And then we have another facility in Andhra Pradesh, in Rajamundry, and we have one sales office in Chennai. So I'm based in India now for 2 years. The biggest challenges I face, and to be honest, I arrived in India almost 2 years ago in March or April, I think, and they tried to prepare me for what I was about to find out in India, because the history is my company Intersnack, about 3 years ago, they started a joint venture with an Indian owner who owns some cashew factories in India and in Vietnam. Now, let's say there were some differences in opinion of how to run a business. So the Indian owner, he left, he started his own business again, and then our company took full responsibility of the factories in India and Vietnam. And there were some, especially as a European company, we want full compliance with all laws, all legislation. We speech all our factories need to be fully compliant with SMETA, which is, let's say, the ethical trade initiative. So my first job was to make the factories full compliant. So no child labor, all people need to pay minimum wages. There is a lot of, let's say, systems in place who allowed child labor to come into the factory through all cracks and crevices in the system. And for me, there also Indian people are too nice. When it's bad, I want to hear, just tell me it's bad, then at least I can prepare. But for me, Indian people always tell me things in a nice way, and then I think, wow, it's maybe not that bad. But then I start digging and I find out it's actually quite bad. So that can be quite a shock as well. And one of the other things, also we want to bring a safe working culture, which I don't know about the rest of India. Let's say I'm based in the deep south. I face some challenges. Even when I drive to work on a daily basis, and you see people driving to work, let's say 80–90% on a motorbike, on their bare feet, no helmet, and driving around, even watching videos on the phone while driving to work. And then once they enter the gate, I have to tell them, well, I want you to be really careful about your own safety, so please take care. So there we see some challenges as well. And let's say from a specific HR perspective, some things for me are really sometimes eye-openers and not always in a nice way. But for example, even last Saturday, I had 6 interviews planned for people, and then in the end only 2 people show up. And then I'm like, okay, well, I'm a bit used to it now, but when I worked in, let's say in Europe, whenever I had an interview, I think maybe 1 out of 100 wouldn't show up, and he even would inform me beforehand, like, sorry, I cannot make it. But here, apparently, the turnout rate is quite low. And like I said, I arrived in March, so we were in the process of, let's say, all the merit increases, but also what I see in the, let's say, the interviews I take. For me, especially when I arrived, it was a shock when people told me face to face, oh, I want a 50% salary increase, and I was like, what do you say, 5%? No, 50. Okay. That was really a shock for me. Like, what you're used to in Europe, you might get 5–10%, tops 15%, and here numbers like 30, 40, 50, even 67–70% are not very unusual. So for me that was quite a shock. And even worse when you talk about salary, for me, I used to be, let's say, factory or operations director in Europe. And let's say, of course, my salary was higher than that of the people in the factory. But if you look in Europe, let's say the gap between the workers in the factory and me as factory director was maybe a factor 3, maximum 4 times. If I look at India, there are factors 40, 50, 60 times, let's say, the gap between the people in the factory and even people in, let's say, middle management functions. There really is a big gap. So for me, that also was quite a big shock. And also what I see in interviews, that people don't seem to do much preparation. In Europe, at least also when I go to a job interview myself, I would always prepare. I would like to know as much as I can about the company, about what the company is producing, where the factories are. And for me, it's quite a shock. I don't see a lot of people doing that in India. So that is my small perspective. So I hope to take your questions later on, and hope you have a nice afternoon. Thank you very much.
And also you've seen, even on the road, what you have experienced. That is also another interesting thing. So one important clue for all people here, those who are youngsters who can be looking for a job in MNCs, Jorgen has given a beautiful information. Please prepare for the interview. Okay, don't just like that go for an interview. Thank you very much. Thanks for that. The next we will turn to Gabriel. Gabriel is working in Renault. All right, let us listen from him what he has to say about his perspectives in India.
Good afternoon. Hoping we are still awake and after the good lunch we are still managing. Well, I will propose to speak only short minutes about me. It's not important me here. It's important perspective I have from an expat point of view. I'm coming from Romania. Starting to say Romania, maybe some of you know, some of you don't know. It's an eastern country. It's 20 million people and will fit very nicely in Mumbai, one city in India. So one guy from a small country can come here and preach or give lesson is too much. But finally, with some experience I have in the past, I think it's important to understand that all the humans, they are related to the same bell curve. We have the people which are laughing, the people which are very intelligent, the people which are hard workers, and I think this is all over the world. What is important in this meeting to understand cultural differences, and after this, what is our perception, and also how you perceive us. Hopefully you will have a good time and really willing to go for the question. Me, I'm working in the business of, I start like a method engineer, process engineer in 1999 in fact. And after 20 years, I took a more responsibility in the management, and now I'm responsible for manufacturing of Renault, Nissan, Datsun cars in India. So there is a plant in Chennai, for who is not aware. We are making around 1,000 cars per day in the split of 11 models, but we are making this car for 3 brands. And 3 brands is quite complex, but it's possible just because we are in India and people is very hardworking and people is understandable, and after they need a little bit of leadership from the expat, but the main scope of an expat is to be change. And after this, to give enough know-how to the local people, because the scope of here is not take the leadership. The scope of an expat guy in here, a normal expat guy here, is to teach and give as much as possible to the people here, to understand that these social differences, cultural differences, business point of view, we are having to teach the people here to learn, and also to feedback. We are taking a lot of know-how from here, because it's my experience is here is making me progress for my future career. So coming to the some facts here. I'm living with my family. My wife is with me, and the child is with me. And after this, we are having such good community. We have the same people knowing from each other countries. We are coming people from different countries. But hopefully you'll understand that what we perceive, it's quite the same. Even if you are coming from different countries, and we are coming from the first time together in this town hall, and hoping to get interesting question from you. I'll speak more from my perspective, not from RNAPL perspective. I'm here. I'm just working in Renault Nissan, but here I'm invited for relationship, HR and IR. At this moment, I made 3 jobs in my life, starting with engineering, quality, and manufacturing. Not yet HR, but I think time is still young, so hopefully I'll have a time in the future to pass through, because enriching experience will come, and I'm sure together we'll have an excellent afternoon. Thank you very much.
Working for Renault, and a very successful company as of now. A lot of foreign nationals are there working for that also. And now we have our own Patrick. Patrick brings a completely different dimension to this panel. We have seen a Romanian speaking, we have seen a Russian speaking, you've seen a person from Dutch national speaking. Now, why in this panel we have Patrick? Patrick has got a completely different perspective because he is an Indian national, went and worked in foreign country. And he worked in a foreign country who had control over many other countries in his operations. And let us listen from him what his perspectives are and how did he see the perspectives of an Indian outside the country. Patrick, on to you.
I'm Patrick. I'm from India, Chennai. I hope you all believe me. A little bit confused. He said, "No, sir, you have to talk on this topic." When I was telling him in India, I have nothing done. But still, he brought a different perspective, and he said, "You moved from India and established a lot of factories and offices across the globe. So why don't you share the cultural differences? What happened?" But actually, that gave me a very nice thought, and I started thinking of it. And I thought I'll share my Ashok Leyland experiences. How from an Indian company we went to a multinational company, and what are the challenges we face, and how is an org structure, and what are the forces controlling the employee relations. So let me share the experience of Ashok Leyland. Okay. So Ashok Leyland is a traditional company in India for more than 7 decades. So we've been known for a national company, and 10 decades back we moved to an international perspective, and now we are emerged as one of the multinationals. So our understanding of international and multinational is, international is that where you make a product exclusively suiting to India, somewhere in the globe somebody asks the product, you simply export there, and without doing any customization you start using there. So this has been happening for the last 10 decades. Then after some time, then maybe 4 or 5 years back, we were thinking, why not we move to other countries and become a multinational? The reason behind to become a multinational is that, so truck business is a cyclic business. So once in a decade, you have recession mandatory. So during the recession time, we want some support system where it supports our business. So we thought that we established a lot of factories across the globe, so that during the recession, so 1/3 of our sales comes from the international. So this objective we started. So once we started, we established our office in Dubai. So Dubai is the first place. All these things happened in the last 4 years' time. We were very aggressive in the international market. So the first thing we did is we started an international office in Dubai, and we set up different offices in Bangladesh, Russia, East Africa and West Africa, and we started being ourselves in other parts of the world. So our targeted area was the SAARC region, Africa, Latin America, CIS, ASEAN and GCC. So we have our 3 manufacturing units, one at Ras Al Khaimah in UAE, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. So these 3 plants are completely managed by Ashok Leyland, and it is established by us. So this is the brief background. And coming to our subject of employee relations. So it's nothing but the employee relation is how you manage these forces, about the terrain which we operate, our business challenges, and of course our organization structure. The friction comes in between these forces, we call it employee relations, and how we address this. So wherever country we go and we start establishing, for sure there are a lot of differences. One is the culture. We all know that definitely there's a cultural differences. The man from his birth, from his death, there's a cultural difference. And again the legal. So each land has its own legal framework. The other is skill market. Some countries where we operate have high skill, and other countries absolutely we don't have skills at all. And third is the economic situation. Some rich country, poor country. And another is a political scenario, where you have constant changes on daily basis. In a lot of countries in Africa, yesterday there's one president, today there's another president. So today's president starts undoing what has done yesterday. So this is a more volatile terrain which we operate. And coming to another hand is our business model. So we have a unique business model, operates in each region. It's a combination of one or many more. One is the channel sales. I hope you all know it's a conventional channel sales where you produce, give to a distributor, and again a salesman sell it. Another institutional selling is nothing but a bulk selling where we sell it to some defense business, some we sell it to the United Nations, and some the fleet owners of different countries, they come together, negotiate with us a deal and take the trucks and they start using it. And project sales, of course, is a very unique thing which Ashok Leyland does in some parts of Senegal and Dakar, where we operate the transport system for the people, where the government, the bank supports us, we run the business and we pay to the bank and we take whatever we have invested. Then there is manufacturing. Manufacturing, we have two types of manufacturing. One is, of course, our own manufacturing, what I told the earlier three locations. Another is a contract manufacturing. Wherever we feel that the political scenario is not conducive for investment and operate, we ask our local people to set up a factory and he will assemble and sell on his own. Sometimes he sell on his different brand, co-branding, or sometimes he sell on our own brand. The other business model is knowledge partnering, where in nooks and corners of Africa, though we have a lot of vehicles, 50, 100 vehicles are there, we don't have a proper mechanic even to change the air filter or oil filter. So we pick up young youths from each backward areas, we train them and live in the society. So they start repairing the trucks, neither our trucks or any other trucks available. This is one area of business, and the other one is our service network. Service network is nothing but wherever the vehicle park is more, maybe 1,000, 2,000 vehicles. So we build a model to support our service so that we earn revenue on that. So this is a business model. And coming to the most important is org structure, where we are worried about where the people in. This is a very typical org structure which we have. When we ventured in the international operations, we were very clear that we have to keep our cost under control. So we wanted to have a very low cost org structure. At the same time, it should be very dynamic and easy to move here and there. So that we call it a very liquid structure. So this idea came to us when we were debating in our office that when the movie makers, they make a lot of films. So once the producer decides, the director takes up the assignment. So he puts all team together. And once the movie is made, he dismantles. So we were thinking that why don't we have the same model for international operations to keep our cost very low. So we have our support teams in Dubai, where we have key technical team there, and each locations we have different types of org structure. With the manufacturing, we have a hierarchy org structure. When it's a product driven, some market dominates by the product. So we have a product org structure, and some with function, and some geographical also plays an important. So we have like that. In India, they coordinate with it. So this part is very fluid, dynamic, and a business model, and of course the culture. So the employee relation starts how we manage these three forces together. For example, in our Dubai office, we have around 7 nationals working with us. So it's very important for us how we manage these cultural issues. So I thought of putting all these points together to discuss, but still I felt after explaining to your business model, maybe you can come up with a lot of questions where I will be able to address as and when required. Thank you very much.
I spoke to my German boss, who is my current boss. I asked, what did you find difference in this country? What will you appreciate one thing Indians for? He said, Indians are forgiving. They are very good in reconciliations. He said, in our country, fight means fight. Once we fight and that's all, finished. No, we finish the relationship then and there. But here it is not like that. And when I fight with someone, and after some time when I go and say sorry, and the whole thing comes back again, and the relationship is renewed. That one thing, he said, it's very interesting, and also we would like to retain that. Definitely you learn from us, huh? Thank you very much. Patrick, did you face any kind of surprises in other countries when you went there?
No, surprises in terms of thing is once, the first time I visited Africa. So normally you shake hands, how many minutes or how many seconds you shake hand?
Yeah.
When you shake hand, the meeting first time. So there the culture is that we met one of our dealer who came and met. He was just shaking hand for the last 2 minutes.
2 minutes shaking hand.
You really don't know whether you have to drop his hand or you have to go. By the time he's taking my hand and he's also introducing to others. So that is one of the cultural things which I found.
Okay, yeah. What about Indian nodding? Did you find anything about Indian nodding? We have one nodding to say yes. And did you find that? Yeah? What is your take on that?
I found out about this NOD after coming to India. But honestly, I understood from the YouTube. Sorry, because I understood the meaning of everything. The faster you are going, when you are going the eyebrow up, this is a different kind of understanding. But I will tell you something different to my culture. In our culture, when you are saying no, this is no. So sometimes when I see a lot of people which is saying yes, for me it's a no, but I'm getting used no. But for us, when you're coming first time here, you understand that people it's different. And after this, you can say
Yeah,
about
yeah,
that.
you will have something interesting.
See, I
Yes,
think
Selena.
after living in India for 10 years, I learned very well, right, how to shake my head. Now, every time I go to Russia, I shake my head like this. So it's a big difficulty because people ask, say yes or no.
What is there in between? Okay, yeah. What about any other gestures? Did you find any gestures which you found a little different from your country here, and the gestures which are different here in India? Yeah, what does it mean? Yeah, I want to know from you. What does it mean? What do you mean by this?
Okay. This means, I will say it differently. You disrespect me, you don't give me the time to explain. So give me the minutes to explain to you, and after this we can go on, and you'll understand. This is my understanding. I explain it differently because a lot of the times the people in the room, they are asking for this. So this means, for me, it's a sign you don't give enough attention to listen to the people. So this is we have to change, and probably it's not only with me. It's similar for all of your functions because everybody is doing the same. It's not only with experts. Okay, so for us, we have to listen more.
Oh yeah, yeah. What about any gestures did you find different here? And you know what is this? No, in India.
I don't have any particular difficulties there, but the only thing I think most of the gestures are quite contagious. It's even, let's say, the head wobbling.
Most of the gestures are quite dangerous. That's what you say.
No, contagious.
Contagious,
So
okay.
I even start doing them
Okay.
myself. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's maybe the biggest issue. But now from that perspective, let's say from the gesture side, I don't have any difficulties. I got used to that quite quickly.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, Selena.
At just one point, I want to add that in India, I had to learn that there is a difference between right hand and left hand, which is very important, right? Because if you eat only with the right hand. If you give money or give business card, it has to be right hand, and it all comes from the personal hygiene, right? And that left hand we cannot use. So that was new for me. It does not exist in the Western world.
Look at this is what the perspectives which I wanted to bring. Actually, look at everything. What they face here is completely different from there. What they are coming from. Okay. Now, little difficult question. You know, I'll just bring to you. What has frustrated you in India? Where do I start is a bigger question. Yeah. So tell me, out of all the frustrations, what frustration you would like to share here to this audience? Yes.
I think the thing I always have to laugh hard whenever I send emails, and especially in our company, it's already still a lot of people have to get used to emails because, like I said, we took over the company from the previous Indian owner, and the whole business was ran via WhatsApp. They didn't even have an email system, so people have to get used to it. But whenever you send emails, 80% of the times you get a reply, noted, with thanks, and then nothing happens.
Okay.
That for me is always, whenever I get that reply, I think like, I have to chase up this one.
Okay. What frustrated you?
I think the biggest frustration is that in general, I'm sorry, I'm generalizing, inability to say no. Okay, so that's what I understood. Every time I give a task to the employees, nobody dare to say no. Everybody says, yes, we'll do it. Okay? Nobody will say that, I'm sorry, but I don't know how to do it. I'm sorry, but I need your help. Nothing like this happens, right? Nobody will say no. Now, nobody will give the correct timing also when the job will be done. They'll say, okay, madam, I'll send you tomorrow, right? And usually tomorrow means at least 1 week. So That's a quite frustrating point. And because Russians are very straightforward people, right? And people are making fun of me because if I think stupid, I say you stupid, you stupid, right? Like so, like this. So, but in India, there is a lot of what do you say? Let me see how I answer, right? Yeah, very flexible, very different. So
Yeah, when there is an opinion, you say it straight. It is a yes or no. It's black or white. But when we want to say the opinion, we want to go like this and go like this, go like this, and then come to the answer.
correct, and it's the biggest challenge, right? In these cross-country now projects that I'm working with, right? Like whenever we have conference calls, none of my team can give a proper answer. They will promise something and they will never do it on time. So I'm telling them it's better if you say that you will give it later, but you give it that time. But no, it does not work. Mentality remains the same.
What about you, Gabriel?
I will start with the funny thing Jürgen said about mail. Really, I don't understand how we can have mail with 500 people into the CC and into working in a company which is having a lot of email address. It's quite complicated to understand who is in the deciders and who is in the information. And after this, you are having a lot of information. For me, sometimes escaping. Sometimes we have to be strict on this. And the second thing, maybe we should be a little bit more cut the CCs, cut and this refresh to the only members important, because this information it's reproduced and also reply to all. It's coming at maybe 3 pages, 4 pages of email. So this we should restrict more, because finally not all the people it's interested in all the information, and not all of them are deciders. But it's not a frustration. This is something I'm trying to change also for my team. Also, I try to restrict the mails because no reason sometimes for the mail. On the other side, no big frustration, but we are capable here in India to make every till 2 o'clock in the night, and next day you have it ready. But we should proactively make it in advance, because working in a hurry and staying overtime, and after this consuming your energy, dedicating yourself for a final objective, but destroying your social life, family balance, it's no need. We can do it better, and it's starting with what Elena is saying, maybe saying no, I cannot do it on this date. I think maybe more than 80% of the manager will understand. We can do it in what delay, but should be respected. So this is not a frustration, I'm saying again, but something to change, because we are here in multinational companies. Our rules are the same. Our understanding is the same. When you are having a guy which is doing this, is spoiling the image of the team, is spoiling the image maybe sometimes to the company and sometimes of the country, because you are not able to fulfill at the moment. And this is a little bit complicated for the Japanese or maybe Dutch or German to understand that you will not do it on time. Okay, so this is again not my recommendation.
Okay, okay.
Thank you.
Patrick, did you find anything frustrating in other countries?
No, not really. No, most of the font is.
Oh, most of us are here only. Okay, all right. Okay, one last question from me, and then I'm opening to yeah. Suppose what is that one thing in Indian culture you don't understand at all till now? Is there anything in Indian culture you don't understand? What is this? I can't understand this. Is there anything like that? By socially, culturally, politically, or in your office, okay, professionally, anything. If you think that you can't
Okay.
understand this ethos or pathos in India.
Okay. We are still inside the business, we are still inside the HR, we are still inside the committee of careers, and sometimes here the ramp up of the people, the development of the people, and a lot of development of the young generation or the smart generation, or doesn't matter the origin from another company. It's quite complicated to go in the up career, to develop your career, because a lot of restriction is coming from the But this guy was manager for 3 years. Now you want to become senior manager. This I don't understand, because it's valuable or not, his experience or not, he can do the job or not. But here, this too many layers of responsibilities, together with a blockage of the system. He is not experienced enough to go to a senior position. This is something which is making very difficult for us to understand, because a young guy at 30 years never will have the chance to become leading a plant. And why not?
Okay.
MBA and everything else possible. So it's a judgment we have to understand, and cultural okay, I respect. But change possible.
Okay, thank you, Gabriel.
I think I don't understand two things. First thing, why people have to work overtime when the work is done? Why they have to sit in office and pretend that they're working just to show to their boss that they are
Or
good employees?
or maybe they are having problem at home.
I don't think so.
Okay. We never know.
And the second thing, I don't understand why people honk at the traffic light. Nothing will change.
Honking.
Honk.
Honking in the traffic. Yeah, of course. You don't understand at all.
Like I said, I'm in India now almost 2 years, and to be honest, I think there are many things I still don't understand. One of the things also the honking, but for me it's in general, because for me honking is a warning sign. But when 20 cars are doing it, I don't know where to look for the risk. So, but that's my personal opinion. And one of the things I already mentioned regarding, let's say, salary increases. But I was even shocked. I had some conversation with people who I took out of the function and put them back in function. And then the last questions they had was, "But do I still get a salary increase?" And then I was really shocked. But it not happened once, but it already happened a few times. And like I said, there are still many things I don't understand. Also, let's say the whole, maybe it's a sensitive, let's say the male-female relationship. In our factory we have roughly 3,000 people, and more than 80% are females. But let's say all the supervisor manager roles, they're all male. And that is something I want to change, but that's really difficult.
Yeah, of course. It's very difficult to understand that relationship too. Any questions from the audience, any cultural questions? Yes.
Good afternoon. My name is Madhusudanan from Ashok Leyland. My question to all the panelists: what is that one thing which Team India can learn from your country, which can be directly given as something which we can take it as a learning and implement in our companies?
Madhu, thank you very much. Very good question. In fact, see, if you are here for some purpose. You brought some purpose here. Your home country had sent you here with something which they found in you, and that's why you are here. So this question is addressing that. Now, what is one thing you think Indians need to learn from your country? Yes, Madhu. Yeah, please.
I think there I want to add to the point Lena already made in the previous questions. I think one of the key things we want to bring is, let's say, a more healthy work-private balance. Because, like I said, and in most companies in India, people still work 6 days a week, 8 hours, and even more, because they want to impress their bosses. So in the end, you only remain the Sunday to spend. And I think that is one of the things I really value in India, the importance of family. But then you only have 1 day a week to spend with your family, which is very short. And so I think that is one of the key objectives we have to, finally we have to go to a 5-day work week, and let's say a more, healthy balance between work and family and private life.
Yeah, work-life balance. Again, we used to say that work-life balance is not organizational's responsibility. It is every individual's responsibility.
Exactly.
So that is a very important thing which you are bringing out. Okay, thank you very much. What about you, Helen?
Okay, so I would like to add, see that I've come across one article which basically compared different countries on the certain criteria, how the tradition and cultures affect the business environment. And one of the criteria was tolerance to uncertainty. Okay, so India scored the highest and Russia scored the lowest.
Tolerance to uncertainty.
Yes, tolerance to uncertainty. So there could be a good thing or could be a bad thing. But I feel like, see, in India, many times people will say, we will find the solution when the problem comes. Okay, in Russia, the clarity is much more. Like when we do business planning, we do properly evaluate what things can go wrong and how we sort it out. We don't leave it to tomorrow to say, let's see, when the problem comes, we'll figure out how to do it. So maybe this could be a little bit more implemented in Indian scenario.
Yeah, we plan well before doing anything. Okay, all right. Yes, Gabriel.
I'll recommend to HR colleagues to export more your local talents and bring it back. It's not now there is a kind of migration, what is my perception. A lot of the people going for a better job, and after this they are settling there and they are having maybe different life in other states. But the job of the team here is maybe to export and bring back, because this will enrich your company. This will, you'll have your understanding about how the others are, and after this is for me one key point. And the second one is to create more jobs, because the only way for India to have this new generation, because when you are seeing the average generation you are having 40% of the people is 35 years old, so you need more jobs to create. So this means give and take, more adapted to the market, more adapted to the culture, and this is something I would recommend.
Fantastic. Okay, very nice. Patrick, you would like to share something? If you have anything else to share also, you can tell.
See, one of the things is the punctuality. So we do have a lot of difference of opinion among the team is that whenever you have a telecom, irrespective of the time zone, once you accept the invitation, everybody's online. Except our people, they come late, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. But the reason is not that they're deliberately coming. Sometimes their bosses may call them for some urgent work or some inquiry. But we Indians have to learn, we say that, no sir, I have to attend a telecon, so others are waiting, so I'll come later. So that culture we need to develop within ourselves. And the other one is that India, everybody knows everything, I would say that. Even if you ask a receptionist, she will tell about the company sales turnover and all. In other countries, people don't say that, they say, I don't know, you ask the person. So that also we need to learn that whatever area we should have in-depth knowledge, not putting in our hands everywhere. Another point, what she was telling is I totally disagree, because Indians are good in crisis management and firefighting. The moment the problem, I've seen different nationals, they get frozen, they don't know how to react. But we Indians, we know that just like that we'll solve problems.
Oh,
So
definitely. We are very good crisis managers. That's
but
what.
maybe we have to.
Yeah, that is why we do less planning. Yeah. and also we need crisis to resolve. If it is not there, we'll create some and then resolve. So, sorry, Patrick, for that. And we were talking during lunch. In Siberia, minus 40 degrees. And you have to spend 20 minutes wearing 10 different types of dresses. And you have to come out and then shower your car for another 10-15 minutes. We in tropical country, we don't need to do this. We on the shots we can come out and we can do anything we want. We don't need that much of time. So timing, we have so much of time with us, but still, we don't follow that timing. It's very important. One aspect which we have to learn from other countries. Madhu, that is one thing. Yeah, we go to. Please, raise your question.
Hello, my name is Manjunath Das. I came from Scient Limited. Thanks to the panel member, are giving a good feedback of the India. Yes, really, India is a good country. Indian citizens are good. Indian labor is a hard worker. Yes, even though we have so many good feedback about Indians, why the foreign direct investment? The investment in India very less. Why the employment opportunities very less? Even if you have a good resources, good facility in India. Please answer, gentlemen.
Why investment is less?
Yeah, why the investment is less? Meanwhile, why the unemployment opportunities, is increasing nowadays in
You want
India?
their perspectives?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Do you have any perspectives on that?
And this is really my personal perspective. I think first of all, India is, and I know now by experience, it's not a very easy country to, I think, especially as a greenfield, as a new company, start up facilities with all the issues you could have with unions, etc. So I think that is very hard. So that is one thing. The second one, now I forgot. I was thinking about it. And I think that also at the moment the rupee is not really stable. So I think there you have a lot of fluctuations. So you could have some forex risk. So I think India is not an easy company to invest in. Let's say as a new foreign investor. I think there are many challenges, especially now. If you talk about, let's say, the Western world, where compliance is really one of the key issues, and I think that's still every day I'm fighting in my company to get full compliance, to get all the licenses in place, because the systems are very complex. Even when I have some legal issue, when I ask for advice, and I always ask different people, then I always get multiple answers. So I can understand when you're really in the shoes of the legal, it's really hard what is right or what is wrong. Let's say, I would say there is quite a lot of ambiguity in your laws and legislation, and I think that also makes it quite hard for, let's say, a foreign investor to invest in India.
Well, very, very good points which you have brought. I think, Elena, you will have very interesting things to share, because the organization we work together, that could have been another Volvo in India, and they have brought business prospects to India, but finally they could not do anything because of the scenarios what they faced in India. I think you will be able to answer him much better than anybody else.
Yeah, I will try.
Yeah.
See, actually, not so many Russian companies or not so much of Russian investments has been made in India. And so Kamaz is one of the examples, and unfortunately that was a negative example. And one of the reasons was the union, the labor issues, that inability to achieve the required productivity, etc. Right? And in fact, we had to close down the factory. We had to retrench the people, and that decision was made from the head office, because they were not confident that in this environment they can continue to do business. So that was one of the reasons. But that's not the only reason why there are no investments from Russia. See, generally investors are scared to bring money to India. They won't develop business, but they want to develop business with Indian money, right? They want to have funding here or get funding from some other regions, but they don't want to bring Russian money to India. So this is one of the perspectives, not all.
Thank you for that perspective. We don't want to dig deep into it. We know a lot of pain in that. Gabriel, do you have anything to say for this question? I have time for one more question, please. Yeah, Ashok, already you are waiting.
Maybe not the best person in the room to give. I'm manufacturing manager. I'm taking care of the operation, so I'm not too much in the development of the business. But two things from my perspective. One is, I think we need some free tax area, because a lot of the things in Europe are developing on the free tax area. I'm not sure this exists or not. Maybe you can know more. But this free tax area is bringing a lot of money to the community, and this is, I think, easy to make. And from the legal point of view, I think the documentation we need here to start a company is quite complex. I can imagine if for one guy which is coming with 10 days of unplanned leave and you want to sack, you make a pile of 1,000 papers to sign, and 20 short notices and this. So this is very complicated from a perspective of a guy who has money in hand, and to put in this, because he will know this legality, which is maybe according to the rules of the country to be easy. So money should come easy and go easy, because we are running a business, my view.
Okay. Thank you. Ashok, your question. Yeah, that's the last question.
Yeah, my name is Ashok Kumar from Michelin Tires. Normally in the Indian workforce, they will have a mentality saying that when they are working in the multinationals, they told foreigners are ready to give, only Indian managers are blocking. Okay, so during this time,
Can you repeat it again slowly?
when the workforce in the Indian companies, when they are working in the multinational companies, they thought the foreign people will give more money, but Indian, when it is coming for a negotiation, only Indian managers are blocking. So do you have any experience saying that no, it is not correct? So Indian IR managers are very best in the negotiation. Do you have any experience on this?
Have you understood the question? Gabriel, yeah, this is cultural difference, okay. Yeah, see, what he's asking is, the multinational companies are ready to give money, maybe by way of an increment or whatever it may be, but Indian managers come and then they say don't give much. Have you any experience on this? Yeah, please, why don't you share this?
Yes,
And if you can say why also, it will be good.
the why question I think is the hardest, but definitely that experience that when you hire people, and especially one of the challenges we face in the area, I'm based again in the deep south. It's really hard to bring, let's say, talented people to that area because they prefer to work in Bangalore or Chennai or Mumbai. So it is hard. So I'm willing to pay more than my Indian managers would be. But exactly what is the reason behind it? I can imagine, because sometimes you hire people and then their salary of the new people is higher than their salary, and so maybe you create some internal conflicts, and we are aware, so we always balance it out at the end of the year. But it's a good question why. I really don't know 100% the answer, but it's definitely something I face almost on a daily basis.
As a panel, when we are not able to answer the question straight, we will always say that it's a good question. Good question, Ashok. You have any answers for this? Gabriel, you have any perspectives on this?
Relating money to the people. For me, it's very easy. You are getting money for a new salary when you are changing the job, when you are going to a new company, or if you are growing gradually up. But this is not happening. The only moment you have to negotiate the salary is when you enter in the company. And after this will be a very ramp up will be 10, 15 and this. If you are willing to take the challenge, you can challenge another job. But I don't think there is any difference between the moment you need the people, like Jürgen, very difficult to pick people in the area, and you are willing to pay this salary. But in this moment, you have to be ready. So prepare better for the job interview. Let's make clear negotiation, and you'll understand when the other guy will it's interested or not. For me, it's very simple answer. If you want to challenge your level, go and challenge other interviewer. You see what is your level.
Okay, this is a kind of a different perspective. Thank you very much. Yes, John.
Can I add one small detail? It just pops in my mind. It is related to this. What I also find funny, especially in HR, that at least in my company, there's quite a high reluctance to train people. Because they say if we send them to training, they will leave the company. Now we're saying, well, what do you prefer? People stay stupid within the company, or at least we train them, and if they want, they can leave. But there's really reluctance to send them for training.
Yeah, okay. What if you train them and they leave you? Is the question. And you have wondered, what if they don't train and remain with you? What is your question actually? Okay. Thank you very much for bringing that perspective also. I think, the time is up. We have a lot of things to share. I know that, you will also have a lot of questions. But, from my understanding as an Indian manager working in multinational companies, and I traveled across the East also and West also, what I have seen, the misunderstandings are brought by wrong communications. And most of the times, the communication, in communication, not the words, but the intentions and the feelings. If the feelings are right, if the intentions are right, that will be understood much better. I hope you will also understand that. I mean, that way, you are seeing the heart, not the head. So let us try to understand this. This panel has brought a very important point to all of you, because whenever you are interacting with
foreign professional, please understand that they have a completely different perspective to what you have seen or what you are having in your mind. So try to understand them more, try to understand their feelings more. And similarly, I would request the international service employees also to understand Indians, understand them more, understand their feelings more. And with that small anecdote, I would like to end this panel. Thank you very much for the panelists who have brought in very interesting perspectives. Thanks the audience for patient listening. Thank you very much.
Hope everybody enjoyed this session, isn't it? So, can everyone give them a big applause? Thank you so much. And this is the right time to felicitate our speakers. I would like to call upon Mr. Shankar, Head Employee Relation, Titan Company, to honor Mr. Raju Arumugam, alias Mr. Ara. I would like to call upon Mr. Durai, Manager HR, Bosch. I would like to call upon Mr. Amal, Atma Chapter President, to honor Mr. Jogan. To honor Mr. Patrick Jr.
Thank you so much, team. That was a wonderful session. Before we break for tea and coffee, we would like to honor one of our silver sponsors, Narayana Health City, for whom I call upon Mr. Somasundaram, the Secretary of NHRD Hosur Chapter, to come forward. May I invite the Narayana Health team to come forward.
Gentlemen, a big round of applause for the sponsors of today. And Mr. Somo presenting. We asked you to drop your business cards in the bowls that were left. Right, it is now time to find who the winners are. All right, to pick up the lucky winners, I would request Mr. John Robert, Head Employee Relations, on stage, please.
It's Mr. Nagesh SH, Manager Human Resources TE Connectivity India. It is Joseph Stanley L from Terex, the Director Human Resources.
Joseph Stanley on stage, please. Big round of applause for ITC as well.